Well, new tonight, video from Israeli Defense Forces show 11 hostages returning to Israel territory after their release earlier today. Now, these are some of the faces of the young men and women held hostage since Hamas attacked Israel last month. Most of the released are under the age of 18, some as young as 3 years old. The oldest is 52. Now, the White House today confirmed that Israel and Hamas have agreed to extend the temporary truce in Gaza for an additional 48 hours. It will exchange another 20 women and children Hamas kidnapped for 60 Israeli-held Palestinian prisoners.
We would, of course, hope to see the pause extended further, and that will depend upon Hamas continuing to release hostages.
Now, Israeli-American Galia Mizrahi's cousins, ages 9, 11, and 17, and their mother were released this weekend, but the children's father and their older sister were killed in Hamas's October 7th massacre. And 4-year-old Abigail Idan lost both her parents in the terror attack. She's the first American hostage freed, now back with her extended family. And among those hostages freed by Hamas, 3 relatives of a man from Central Texas, a young woman and her 2 daughters. KXAN's Sarah Al-Sheikh spoke with the man about the conditions his family was living in and how they're doing now.
After 50 long days, Dory Roberts received the news he was desperately hoping for.
It's the text messages saying like they're afraid, they're out, they're back home.
His cousin and her 2 daughters.
This is Aviv.
One of them 2.5 years old, the other 4.5, were among the Israeli hostages held captive by Hamas for nearly 2 months.
The best way to describe it is just like it's been a truly roller coaster of emotions.
Finally, after weeks and weeks of waiting, wondering about their safety, Roberts says they were freed on Friday after a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas.
He got the confirmation that they crossed the border back to Israel, could breathe again for a short moment and really rejoice and really feel that there's hope.
Roberts says he's learning more about their time held captive.
We found out that they spent about maybe an hour at daylight if they could, but that's all they given. They were eating chickpeas out of canned food pretty much, and dry bread and water.
He says the road ahead for his relatives is one of both physical healing.
They're really lacking a lot of the nutrition.
And emotional.
The kids are really suffered a great deal of trauma from this.
But Robert says the mission to save his family isn't over yet. 2 of his relatives still remain hostages.
We know it's a long road ahead and it's going to be a bumpy road ahead, but we're very determined.
Sarah Al-Sheikh, KXAN News.
And sadly, not all of his family members made it out alive. Robert says his aunt was killed while in captivity. He hopes to visit his family in Israel at the beginning of the new year, ready to help them on their journey ahead. Well, the suspect in the shooting of 3 Palestinian college students in Vermont was arraigned in court today. 48-year-old Jason Eaton has been charged in the shooting deaths of Hisham Awartani, Hinan Abdalhamid, and Tassin Ahmed, all 20 years old. They all survived, but Awartani's mother says her son may not walk again.
It feels like there's nowhere safe to be Palestinian any longer. I'm in agony.
And the suspect was detained yesterday afternoon, not far from the shooting scene. The victims were studying here in the U.S. They were speaking Arabic, and 2 of them were wearing traditional Palestinian scarves. Police say the gunman confronted the men without saying a word and fired off 4 rounds. The FBI and ATF are investigating the shooting as a possible hate crime. Israel says it's reached an agreement with tech billionaire Elon Musk to bring his SpaceX company's Starlink satellite internet service to the Gaza Strip. It will only be able to operate with Israel's approval. Musk visited Israel today and spent time with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He toured an area that was attacked.